That's what I mean. I'm freaking out, kind of. So,
Before you talk for half an hour. Make you talk for half an hour. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of For Whom the Bell Crows, a Warcrow podcast. If you've
are we singing it, or that was a joke?
No, it'll just be me a cappella playing For Whom the Bell Crows.
Excellent, because I didn't
For
know
whom the Warcrows. And this is a podcast about Corvus Belli's Warcrow, which is their new fantasy skirmish miniature game by the creators of Infinity, Aristea, Warcrow Adventures, all these great games.
Yes.
And it's funny. You go through love affairs of miniature games.
I have some OCD with miniature
You
games.
really do like fall in love with the miniature game, and you champion it, and you devote all your time and attention to it. And you've come hot off of Star Wars after the last year.
I still like Star Wars.
I know you like Star Wars. Well, and it's funny because
Malifaux crashed.
and then Malcolm will crash for you. But the reason we wanted to do this podcast was you couldn't find a podcast really talking about this game enough to your liking. And also,
there's only one I know, which is Touch of Tinge.
There's Touch of Tinge. Touch of Tinge. I hope you guys are having a great time making your podcast.
So.
We want to elevate all ships here. We're not trying to compete. We're just trying to create something that's fun.
I bet we can make you guys look good.
We probably will. We probably will. Absolutely. We're a couple Canadians that like playing miniature games. We played miniature games for a long time. We played all those previously mentioned games together. I obviously host an Infinity podcast with my friends Owen and Dan, and I'm a big CB fan. They're one of my favorite miniature game companies because I feel like they do things at a pace where people can actually engage with their hobby of building and painting and collecting models and still get to play some games. So when Warcrow got announced, they were doing a fantasy miniature game. I was really excited. I was also really excited that it was a novel rule set and they were doing something a little bit different for Infinity. Infinity grew out of an RPG, and so it feels very much, there's a lot of stats, there's a lot of crunchy rules for doing things. It's kind of shed some of those RPG roots over the last 5 editions of the game in almost 20 years. But this was them getting to kind of start making a war game from scratch. It's on a smaller table, there's less miniatures. And stuff's a little more prescribed because you have unit cards that show what you do.
And no war gear, which makes it really easy.
And no war gear. Your war gear is your characters, almost, like the way they attach to units. So if you're coming to this from mainstream games, like Games Workshop games, this is the equivalent of more like a Kill Team or a Warcry in terms of scope. You're probably going to have, the last game we played, what did we have? I probably had 15 models on the table. Max, it
wasn't
12,
very much. Usually you're under. I would say you're under 20. So
definitely under 20. Yeah. Even like this.
Although that may change in the future.
It might change in the future, but the starting point is usually 10 to 15 miniatures, and if you're using big monster units and stuff like that, it can get even smaller. I think. My Science Army had 8 models the first time we played, and you were like, "What is happening?" And it plays on a 3x3 table, so it's a kitchen table size skirmish game, which I really like. It's my preferred way of playing, I think, is because you can play at home or you can play in a small playing area. It's supported by 2 box sets, so we're actually looking at them. Song of the Dormant's the new one. Behind you is a 2-player starter set with the Feudum and the Scions, which is some evil elves that are sort of not really demonic. They're more like...
I would say misunderstood elves.
They're more like they went into the dark side of the elf science to survive, and then they went to war with the people that went into the natural order. It's more like nature versus unnatural.
Yeah, they got a little excited with their science. So
it's very like David Lynchy. It's very Videodrome. They're making stuff out of dead bodies and flesh crafting,
and everything's gooey.
A lot of goo. Yeah, it's very sticky. And then the original one, Winds of the North, had the Northern Tribes, which were an alliance of the people from the northern side of the continent, and the Hegemony of Emberzig, which is this human coalition of humans and then also elves and dwarves that have kind of come together. And then there's a third faction, the Scion, in which you actually played with today, which is the Wood Elves who beat the
I think it's Cianon, but I could be wrong. Somebody will correct that.
I'm going to say Cianon.
There's a lot of hard pronunciation in this for me anyways.
It's all words are made up. And so are all pronunciations. It's a tomato-potato thing. And so with 5 factions, it felt like it was time to kind of do a podcast. So we're going to do today is episode 0, talking a little bit about how to get into the game and the resources that are available, because it's kind of at this launch point now where there's enough stuff and enough choices that I feel like it's time to do a podcast and kind of explain the current state of the game.
Yeah, you can. The 2 core factions that came out first are really filled out. with the War Rig.
Yep.
Ember's Sake is completely done now as far as the core robot
In
goes.
Infinity terms, they got a tag, baby. They got
Yeah.
a big giant robot, which is
It's
very
bigger
cool.
than some tags, apparently.
It is bigger than some tags.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
So,
and also the Scions do as well because they have the Mormeg and the Kipleek, which are the two big monsters that nobody else has.
Yeah.
So big 60mm base miniatures.
well,
that
we know
exist
because
anywhere
they've
else.
said that the Feudum has a Griffin Rider coming at some point.
Ah, cool. All right. Peter Griffin will be the Griffin Rider's name. I'm calling it right now. So with that being said, this may not stand the test of time, but basically what we wanted to do was talk about the action packs for the game, how you get started, and then kind of like what is the standard game size. Because the other thing that's launching, I think, this month or next month, which we'll probably do an episode about at some point, which we could do remotely,
Yeah.
is the WTS. We have a draft version of it. You can see the cards in front of Ben here. If you're listening, then just imagine what they look like.
Yeah.
But the tournament systems in Infinity kind of informed the agreed sort of like pickup game format. And I really we did an episode where we did a battle report, actually talked about them. But the WTS gets, I think, a new edition in September, just like the ITS does. And it has a procedurally generated deployment and then secondary objective system where you deal out basically either the primary objectives and deployment and then what your secondaries are, which is like your, what's the word for it again?
They call them feats.
Your
So,
feats.
Yeah.
The feats you're trying to do along with your primary objective. And then the standard game size being 250 points in that tournament format. Where does that, what's the door to that basically? And like, how do you start each of these factions? So now with 5 armies and the Saiyanin having come out separately outside of a starter set,
Yep.
this felt like a good time to make like a baseline episode where we talk about how would you get into the game. So like what we're going to do today is we're going to sit down and go, hey, if you and I were like game store owners or demo people like a Warcrow for talking about this, how would you talk about it to somebody and what would kind of the 5 starting options be? Because obviously you can freestyle getting into any game and just go randomly pick up boxes that you think look good, but there is kind of 5 starting points.
Yeah.
How many points did you get from them? What do we think about them as starters, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go back and forth because we actually kind of split these box sets.
That's the theory.
Makes sense. Yep. And we'll start with this one, Winds of the North.
Yeah.
So I did the hegemony in Winds of the North, and the action pack that's upcoming for it, which will be available probably within a couple weeks of this episode going up, is the starter set plus the Beyond box. And that's typically the format that they're copying from Infinity for doing action packs is. Mm-hmm. What was the half of the starter set you could buy, and then the action pack is like a mini starter set that comes with more models for both those 2 factions. And they're splitting that up and making it available as a single box. Each of these action packs is roughly 160 to 180 points.
Yeah.
And the hegemony one is 160. So if you just play with action packs, you can almost just play with them and they're balanced against each other. And if you're doing like a demo league, you're trying to start playing the game, that's a great way, I think, of like looking at it. Just everybody grab an action pack.
It's a
and
good
play.
start, especially the pack and the Beyonds being combined into one, because then you get the 2 units and a good variety of characters.
Yeah. The only one that kind of stands out, and we'll do this one last, is the CNN, because their action pack is only 140 points, but there was a pre-order model, a guard captain model, that I guess you could maybe proxy or something, that takes it to 180.
Yeah, a lot of people were using the Warcrow Adventures guy because he got untournamented. So
Yeah, so it was 140 was what you could get out of it otherwise, and sorry, 170 is what you would get if you could get him.
Yeah.
So if you just use like a proxy model, some Wood Elf miniature, or if you have access to the Warcrow Adventures, which is that box set, just proxy him with that, the CNN Grand Captain miniature, and you would kind of become the equivalent. So hegemony, what do you get in the box? You get Drago the Anvil. You got a unit of Bucklermen, which is a standard 4-man unit of just like sword and shield dudes. You get a caster, which is the Frostfired Herald. You get a support model, which is the Surgeon. And then you get a specialist, which is Telia, Lady Telia, who's a sniper, and some pioneers. So most of these boxes are going to follow this format. It's a 4-man unit, a caster, a high command model, and a support character, and then a 2-man unit with a support character.
And usually, so far with all the sets, that one 4-man unit is what people refer to as the core unit.
Core unit, that's right.
He's the basic guy. You can usually have multiples of them, and they do the basic jobs.
Yeah. And all of these are available on Corvus Sphere. So if you want to go check out Corvus Sphere, this is the new app that they're launching, which is going to replace the Infinity Army app and also include all the other games. So in this case, it's going to include all of the units from the action packs and other armies. So if we look at Drago the Anvil, what do you think about Drago as far as like buys go?
He's got to be. You have to take him.
I think
he's too powerful.
He's top tier. Like he doesn't necessarily want to lead. So he can lead a bunch of different units. He can lead Bucklerman, Bulwarks, which are the two like core units. So he can lead the unit in this army, which is nice. And when he leads the unit in the army, he gives them just like an extra die and so not even just an extra strike, and you can stress him for 2 extra strikes. So he's very like damagey. On top of that, he adds to its conquest value. He makes them elite and gives them bloodlust for rank, which is new. Yeah. And then you can reroll any of your dice from your defense rolls. But he's just like a nobody die, so he makes your unit incredibly tough.
But the things that really put him over the top is, especially combining in the army, is the 2 conquest power,
yep.
which has cost me so many games.
Yep, because it just makes
so he can just
outscore anybody.
Yep, and then his willpower being spread combined with the war surgeon makes one unit basically like immune to any switch damage.
Now the only thing is that's only if he's not leading a unit. He doesn't get that ability when he's leading a unit.
Yeah, and if you're taking him, though, you should never put him in a unit. That's my thing. It's too much.
Anyway, he's really good. He's 40 points. He's super expensive. He's a named character. He's high command. So he's your 1 high command slot, but he's a really good all-around character. So yeah. I would honestly say starting with the action pack for Hegemony just to get him, it's worth it because he's a model you want in your army all the time.
No, he's just such a force multiplier. Yeah, like Hegemony already has really good conquest for holding positions. He just put it over the top, and suddenly you need 2 more units standing there. Makes it almost unreasonable sometimes.
Yeah. So, Bucklerman, this is your core unit. These guys are great. They're decent at fighting with a red and 3 oranges. They're decent at defense. They have really simple triggers, right? So it's just if you get a switch, you get to add a shield to your defense roll. If you get when you're defending, if you get an attack, if you get a holo switch, you add a shield to your defense roll as well. Their whole thing is that they're really hard to kill, even while they're doing damage.
Yeah, they're great defensive, and they have enough conquest to hold the line.
Yeah, so it's super simple. Like no special rules. They're just dudes, but they're 25 points, and you can have 3 units of them.
And you'll see a lot of them. They frequently hold back positions, and they're enough that most characters can't just run into them and take them out.
Yeah, you can't just hold them by yourself. If you stick something like a war surgeon or an officer in there, they get even better. Yeah, but you only get 1 of each of those things, so you probably want to save them for other bigger units as you expand. The Frostfire Herald. What do you think about this guy? I haven't used him much lately.
Yeah, I find him more of a point sink. I don't think he cooperates very good. I frequently, if I have him, he's mostly sitting there so I can dispel. I don't find the movement is enough that it makes a big difference for me. But the joy of the mixed units is that there's so many different play
never mind. They've changed him, actually. They've changed him. It's only enemy units now for Hand of the Wind.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't actually know that one.
Yeah, they've changed it to that. Fireblaze and Hand of the Wind are both enemy units now.
So that makes him even worse.
Makes him even worse. Yeah, it's funny because you used to be able to do it to friendly units in the original card.
His only cool thing is that when he rests, he can remove 10, so you can be a little more reckless with him.
Yeah, you can be a little more reckless as casting. Okay. Anyway, in the beginning though, he's handy. He's got a gunshot. He's got his Fireblaze, which lets him cast at range, which is kind of cool. And because it's a range attack, it gets all the bonuses for range attacks as well. It has a 12 stride range. It also has an automatic switch cancel and uses a big dice pool, so it tends to blow through shields because you can cancel shields automatically just with a shot.
And he has some good mechanics with the Gale Falchion. They can definitely get a lot of extra movement out, but I find it's too many points for what they accomplish. So,
all right, moving on to Lady Telia. I love Lady Telia. She's a scout, so she can ambush on the sides of the table and show up later on and still have a 15 pace shot. And if she gets 2 actions, she has an action fire called Headshot, which means she can actually fire her gun twice per turn.
Yes.
Anyone who has an action that replicates a ranged attack basically allows you to get around the limit of being able to only use 1 attack action per turn. And that's fantastic. And it can also kill characters and units.
And the stress for hitting the characters is a very big deal. So
well, not only that, you stress, and then also if you kill the character, usually you're reducing people's morale, which means that they're less. They're
right now with the Song of the Dormant, killing that needle out of the unit he's in is huge.
Huge deal. Telia's another one, kind of like Drago. You're going to want her kind of all the time. She's affordably priced at 25 points too, and gives you 2 command points. Yeah. So there's really not a lot of reason.
Well, she's exactly what you want. She's a character killer, so she can get in the right spot.
Yeah. And then for 20 points, we have, the War Surgeon's 20 points now. Some of my point values might be slightly off here, actually, because that's 5 more points, putting this to 165. Interesting. The new app and the old app have different point costs on them. So the War Surgeon looks like it's gone up because it was real good at 15 points.
It's still real good.
It's still real good at 20 points.
There was an errata that made him very controversial.
Yes. The errata being that its ability triggers on each instance of something happening, as opposed to once per activation. That's the medic ability when it targets or it joins to a unit. When your unit's about to suffer any damage, roll your willpower and ignore 1 blood for every success obtained. When your unit performs the rest action, heal all its wounds. So
and
stick him in a.
He already has good willpower, but you combine that with him using Drago's willpower.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're testing on 2 yellows and an orange.
There's like almost no chance that any instant damage will get through from switches.
Yeah, and so what Ben's saying there is sometimes there can be trade like a hollow symbol for 1 point of damage. So the errata means that instead of totaling that damage from all of your switches and then rolling once against that pool, you're rolling every single time against each point of damage, which means you're more likely to shrug it, especially when you're rolling 3 dice from Drago.
Yeah, with the errata, most people apparently were playing it the way that I did too, and we did, is that you add up all the switches and it's a pool, and you roll once.
No. Every activation of a switch is an instant.
So that has just thrown it off. So you're going to cancel
a lot of damage,
2-3 wounds every turn,
which is why I think it is probably worth it going up 5 points. They also get poison vials, which means that you can use hollow switches to inflict automatic damage, like I just said, to a target. So kind of the opposite of the damage reduction it's doing.
He's an excellent support character.
But the thing is that like in this action pack, if you're not attaching Drago, you're attaching this person to the bucklers, and you're making them very hard and also way more dangerous now because they throw a large pool of dice with the trigger to do that. All right, and then lastly, we have our pioneers. I like these guys. I don't tend to take them very often in my expanded games, but I think here in the action pack, having a gun unit's really important.
Yep.
And
the traps
and their scouts, which means they can come on the sides as well. And they have 10-inch range guns, and the mortar's also 10 stride guns and 10 stride mortar, so they can show up, do a bunch of damage. And the mortar causes the frighten test as well, which is very cool.
But because it's a attack action point, you get it and the shots. So
on top of it again.
So
so overall 165 points it looks like with the new point values. Yeah, because it looks like nothing else changed. Drago's 40, the Bucklerman's 60, 70, 80 for the Surgeon. Frostfire's 25, so that's 105. Telia's 25, 130. Yeah, 165 points out of that box.
Good mathing.
165 points, really solid action pack. In fact, also one of the most straightforward. There's not a lot of like combos you have to worry about. You're not stacking.
They're the most normal of all the armies.
Yeah, if you're looking for an army that's like easy to start off with, this is probably one of the easier ones to play. So why don't you take the lead on the next one, which is the Northern Tribes. What are we getting in there?
We are getting Alborg / the Wrathmane.
Yep. So you're going to flex between 185 and 165 points.
Yeah. So, and they're actually, in this case, like with Drago, you really don't want the regular guy that comes in the set. No. But in this one, they're both good. So the Alborg is a little more offensive. It's got a really good, the Worgen the Crow. So he can make a Varak unit, go right after an Orc unit.
Yep. Once per round. End of activation for a command point. Activate an ally unit of rank and vice versa. That you can only perform one action.
And with the Beyond set, you get one.
Stress, that's right.
Yeah, so it's a really good combo. So you can set up double charges.
Yeah, the skin changers basically can double team off this guy.
Now he does completely lack in conquest. That's his downside. Is he doesn't help in any way.
Zero.
On that.
He doesn't care. Yeah, he's not carrying objectives at all. He's 3 command points though for 50 points. He's a beat stick.
Yeah, and then the Wrathmane is just a good all around. So I don't usually use Alborg because it's already a struggle to get conquest with orcs a little bit. So.
And if you were playing action packs against action packs, it would be balanced. It'd be 165 and 165. What about your next unit? What's the next unit?
What else comes?
The Wisemane.
The Wisemane. He is popular because he gives the reroll. I can't remember off the top of my head.
And he's an attachment.
Experienced or something.
He's an attachment like the whatchamacallit, the War Surgeon. So you're usually going to want him attached to unit of infantry. He's not really a beat stick player.
No, he's not an officer. So he just makes the unit better. I believe the other thing he does there, where are we here?
He can Wrath Roar for a command point, and I mean with
it's the charisma and wisdom. Yeah, so he gives the unit fearless. It can make the orc hunters, which are not particularly great units.
That's the Wrathmane gets Wrath Roar. Charisma, so you get
charisma and wisdom. My apologies.
Fearless and can repeat their willpower rolls.
Yeah, so that can take those hunters from kind of mediocre to decent. So,
And voice of experience for a command point. What is fix the result of a die? Is it just
You just turn it to what you want. Yeah.
Whoa. So if you stress the unit that's fighting with him and get a red dice with an exclamation point, you can just get the double hits.
Yeah, but he's also one of those good support characters where he just straight up adds a hit and a shield.
Yep.
So even without doing much with him, like the red on the stress is nice. He just bulks up a unit for those minimal hits.
Yep.
So you're adding to a better pile.
Is he adding to your morale? No.
He does add conquest, which again is a struggle for orcs. No, he does have +1 morale.
Yeah, +1 morale.
Yeah, and he adds willpower. So
yeah. Well, two orange for willpower and morale, which is great. And then your last character is the Evoker.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this one either. The first set there, I wasn't big on either wizard.
Okay.
It has a little bit of offense, and it has a very nice stress canceling ability. But the intimidating can be hit and miss, but it's a good spell.
What does intimidating do?
So basically, anytime you target a unit with intimidating, you've got to make a willpower test against the number in the brackets. Right. By whatever you fail by, you gain extra stress. So I can make it so that a charging unit sometimes can actually end up running away at the end of the fight. So, but it's still hard. I find it hard to use. The Summon the Rock thing is all right. It's just a standard ranged attack, but the Delegate of the Ancestors is a big deal. You can just, for a command point, take a stress off an orc unit.
Or rally a demoralized one.
Nowadays, compared to when it came out, one command point's a lot for one stress, but it still can make a difference. So
yeah. Well, and also the range is really high. And if something actually like flees and won't come back, you can just automatically rally them, which is really cool too. So you have a gun. He's a little less straightforward than the Frostfire Herald, which is like push stuff around and then shoot fire at it. This guy's got throw rocks at somebody, make the unit that's about to jump on somebody better.
Yeah. And the fact that you can make that a permanent spell, not permanent, a stay in play spell.
Stay in play spell.
I've done it a couple times. It usually just means that unit doesn't activate much, but it's still effective.
It locks people down.
But I find there's better uses for the points.
Later on, he might get dropped out. Yeah, he's kind of like the Frostfire Herald, honestly. The casters tend to be one of the first things to go.
Yeah, the fact that they can't hide in units is such a big deal.
And they also lost their ability in the new rules to hide next to units, which actually upped their value a great deal. And then that went away again. And
so now it's tricky again. So.
It's tricky, yeah. I think they should just give all the casters an ability that allows them something like that and just tie it to the caster. Don't tie it to all characters because it can't be abused.
Yeah.
Give the caster that ability instead.
No, it'll be a trick because it's all casters are always not able to join units so far anyways. I'm sure there might be some new stuff in Sion that breaks that rule, but the idea is that they're powerful so they can't really
tie it to the spellcaster tag. So whoever has a spellcaster tag, you just give them some ability. But anyway, besides the point, we're now looking at your last character, which is Njord. This is your
the Beyond Box.
The Beyond Box character, that's right.
Nord and Herseg. Nord is great. So he's killing machine. Like you get him charged, he's losing stress from fighting.
He's elite.
Yeah. So
you can join the Varanks, which is the Skin Changers, the other unit, if he wants to.
That's a separate story. But yeah, but you can turn him loose. And if I remember I don't remember the name of the power, but he basically loses a stress every turn.
Merciless. If you inflicted any damage, your enemy receives the frightened state, and you can reduce your stress.
And he's got very good dice, so he's going to do damage.
The idea here is that as long as he's killing,
and you're not stressing,
and you're not stressing, he can reduce his stress down because his morale's 3.
Yeah.
So he can run in, charge in, stress himself to get his bonuses, to get his extra hit and his trigger if you want, do damage, and then take that stress off. Yep. Then fight again, stress if he wants, do damage, and take that stress off. Now he's only at 2 stress. As long as you're not taking stress fighting back, this guy can just keep activating, keep fighting. Or you just don't stress him when he's in combat, use his base attacks, and you're just recycling off your stress every time you're doing damage.
You can use them all 5 turns and go.
Yep.
Probably not a great idea.
Keeps berserking.
Yeah.
And then he's got his Totem of the Cavern Lion. He acquires properties as he takes damage. If he's got damage, he gets Raging and Fearless. Yep. If he's got 3 damage, he gets an extra red dice to his attack and defense roll. So he gets better the more he's injured. Yeah,
so I find Warcrow in general, there's very few characters that are, I can just take all the hits from a unit firing on me.
Well, his defense is pretty low as well.
Yeah.
His defense is green, blue. But he can stress to do a bunch of damage.
That's good, actually. So.
Green, blue is good.
Green, blue, black. So, yeah.
It's true, but green, blue is good. What I'm saying is he has no built-in defense.
Oh yeah, no,
And there's no defensive triggers.
no, it's
So
all about stress.
if he gets a bad roll, he's getting a bad roll, and his stress means he adds damage to his defense rolls. So he's kind of like, if you get good dice, he's got great defense. If you get bad dice, he's not.
And he has to charge because he's got the I want to say Berserker, but it might be the other
That's
one.
Berserker Rage.
Yeah.
And he's also elite, so he counts all his hollows, which is nice. Actually, that does make him more defensive because he's counting his hollow shields as shields on his defense rolls.
Yeah.
And I think the lowest you go on green and blue is a hollow shield. I don't think there's any blank.
No, I don't. Green is the best one. That's
the
the
blue
two
might
dice,
have
but
a blank. I mean like a complete blank with like no shield at all on it.
Yeah.
I think the lowest on the green is a hollow shield. There might not be any.
Yeah, greens are pretty good, but
and then finally you have your Skinwalkers, and the Skinwalkers are your 2-man unit. So because the Beyond box is like a character in a 2-man unit, this is your Varank, like fighting unit, and they're another Berserker unit. They don't have Berserker range, but they are a great fearless melee unit with like red, 3 orange, and a yellow, and then their hollow trigger is just do blood damage. They do direct damage, it just skips everything, so it skips all your defense rolls. It's not an extra hit, it's just have damage that gets applied. And then their defensive thing is they can spend their shields in defense to do damage instead.
well, that's common in the arts. Like the hunters have that as well.
Yeah.
So these are not. I don't find them to be a good unit at all. So I don't take them very often anymore.
Fair enough. They can
Fearless
spend-
is all right, but they don't. It's a lot of bad dice. So orange is the medium, right? So it's kind of hit and miss. Yellow is not great, and it's only got the one trigger.
Yeah.
So, but the thing they do have well is that defensive stress is very nice. So they can be good at sitting on something, but I don't find for the point value they hit as hard as they should.
Well, and their flex is you can choose their totem when they deploy. You can either have them have 3 wounds and scout, which means they can come on the side of the table edge, or
4
polar
wounds.
bear, they get 4 wounds and scout,
Yeah.
or polar bear where they get no, it's 4 wounds and scout. Polar bear
No,
is
it's
polar bear is
4
3
four
move.
wounds and 1 less movement, and then the
That's
other
right.
Arctic fox is scout.
It's scout. Yeah. It's either or. It's either they're more resilient and they are slightly slower, or they become fox and they gain scout instead.
So they're like a fast skirmisher, but they can't take units head on unless it's another.
No,
core
they
unit.
hunt little characters. They will murder little characters. They'll absolutely destroy.
But you're paying frontline prices for them. So
because they're what, 25 or 35?
I think they're 35.
35. Yeah, 35 points.
It's a lot for a unit to kill. It's 30 to 40. I don't want to feel like I have to go. I don't want to fight that.
He's also comparing them to a Sinan unit that we'll talk about later, who are way harder to kill.
Well, they're
and
excessive.
hit as hard. And at the same point value. Though,
Yeah.
in a different army. So there's things in the game that might do their job slightly better. But in the box set to box set thing, if you put them up against the hegemony, which is what they're typically going against,
I would much rather have the engineers. So
they would come kill Telia, they would come kill the pioneers, they would come kill a bunch of different things.
yeah,
They're quite good inside the action pack to action pack. But again, like the caster, they might be a thing you swap out for a different unit later on.
yeah.
All right, so that's our first starter set. Let's talk about our second starter set, starting with the Scions. So the Scions are an interesting one because they previously had a deck of cards you could buy to go with them because they had a full miniature collection in PVC plastic from a board game called Warcrow Adventures. They were the bad guys, basically. They were like the NPC characters in Warcrow Adventures.
Yeah, they were the bad dudes.
That like were your sort of like primary antagonist. And so they gave them a deck of cards to make them an army in the game. So weirdly, when this game launched, we had 3 armies because one was in the board game that was the predecessor to this, and the other 2 came in the starter set. And they were also almost more fleshed out.
And you kind of had a sub faction in one.
You
too.
did, yeah. You had the Gobbers. If you got all the stretch goals for Warcrow Adventures, then you had the little goblin guys as well.
Yeah, red caps.
Red caps, sorry, which will again be a thing that we'll probably see as a sub faction later on. So let's talk about these guys
painting
now.
them right now.
In the Song of the Dormant, they come out as their own sort of like fully fledged faction, and they get a couple of new things and a couple of things that already existed. So, first of all, we've got Master Uruk, and this guy's also a progenitor, which means you're going to get a progenitor card for him. So you have like a leveled up and leveled down, a lot like with the Hetman and Drago. You have like 2 forms this guy could take, are the Wrathmane and Alborg. This box set's going to be 150 to 160 points. If you use Master Uruk, which you probably will, it's 160 points. If you use the base one, it's not. So we're looking at 15 points for the Breath, 40 points for the Master Uruk, the Anointed are 35 points. The Intact are 20 points, which is like your base infantry unit. Urkala is 30 points, and the Needle, who's your support character, is 20 points. Now, Master Uruk, this is your leader guy. What do you think about this guy?
I like him. It's a great model. So
It's a great model, yeah.
they do that weird extra set of arms thing.
They do, yeah.
Like their power suits or whatever.
He's high command, dark-minded character. He's got intimidating too. So that spell that you had to get off with your orc, he just has baked in.
Yep.
So he might just make it.
He's
so
the same as a big scary model. So, and he can still join things. So, and he's got his own dispel built in too.
He does.
So
he's got dispel blue, black if you target him with any magic.
Yep. But other than that, like he's a beast. He does a lot of damage. He's got great triggers, which include healing. And then with the new updates to it, he actually gains tinge, which he can use to power things. So
he can, yes. He also gains tinge when he gets hit and when he attacks. He just generates tinge all the time. He's got a bunch of cool triggers. He heals when he attacks if he rolls hollow strikes. He's not elite, so he's just using them to heal afterwards. He's got double switch cancel shield, so he just blows through your defense. And then he's got get a tinge for a strike for a switch as well if he wants to.
And then with that tinge, he can drink. It's a vial of his own blood, no less. He can drink a vial of his own blood and tune himself up, so that the targets need 2 shields per hit
to cancel every
So
hit.
If you can keep building that tinge on him, which is pretty easy, as long as you're getting exclamation marks in combat, you can just keep him going and just viciously take out things. So it's not even his dice; it's just that ability.
And then he's got smell of blood. If you have 2 or more blood on you, repeat up to 2 dice for your attack rolls. You can reroll 2 dice.
Yeah.
Now, interesting, when he's attached, no tinge. All that stuff goes away. You just get to add switches to all of your dice rolls, and those switches can be used to just cancel shields and attacks. He adds your morale, he adds your willpower, he adds a wound to all of your unit. That's the crazy thing. So if you have a 3 wound unit, they all go to 4 wounds.
Oh yeah,
which
like
is bonkers. So he can make
one of the characters where it's hard to tell which way you want to play him.
Yeah, because he's good both ways, which is crazy. Because he's a 4 wound hero, but he makes your anointed and stuff 4 wounds as well, which is bananas.
Yeah, and the things he add basically is half ping for both his switches. So
yeah, he's a lot like Drago. You're gonna want to get this guy, and he's gonna be great in your army.
Yeah.
All right, support character, a lot like the War Surgeon and the Wise Man. Probably not as much as the Wise Man. Probably more like the War Surgeon. The Needle's 20 points, and it's kind of non-negotiable. He can join any of your units.
I don't know why you wouldn't take it. I guess there's reasons somewhere, but to me, it's like built into the list. So
he has aura healing. Whenever he attacks, double switches give you a heal on someone within 10 strides. And he gets it on defense as well. So if you hit him or punch him, he heals things nearby, which is crazy.
And unlike Uruk there, he actually has tinge as a keyword. So he just generates one at the beginning of every turn.
Every turn.
Yeah.
You got stitch up muscles, make a willpower test, heal as many blood on the target as you obtain. And his willpower is orange and yellow, so you can just heal people for an action. And then even crazier, assemble bodies, target ally unit within 10, make a willpower test. If you succeed, the target unit recovers a troop. So a whole model comes back.
That's right.
A whole ass anointed.
It's infuriating. I've done it to people a few times now.
If there's enemy units within 5 strides from the targeted unit, they get the frightened state as well because they watch the body stand back up, which is really funny. And then he also gives plus wounds. So if you draw them to a unit, they all get plus 1 wound. And you keep stitch up models and assemble bodies, which is great.
Yeah, but the one becomes just for your unit now.
Yeah.
So, no, he's good in every unit. Like people with the anointed, he takes them up to 4 wounds each. And if you're feeling fancy, you can put them in echoes and get them up to 5 each. So the downside being he's support, so he's still going to go before the leader does.
Yeah, he dies before the officer does.
So
let's talk about Urkala the Maw, your character.
He's all right. I don't find him particularly stand out.
30 points. He's a fighting character, so he's got pretty good fighting stats. Red, yellow, blue with a built-in shield. He's very hard to splash damage back onto. His switches make your opponent suffer a stress and inflicted damage to your target, so you can gain stress from this. And then your hollows let you cancel damage. You can also cancel strikes back from your attacker. He's neat. He's also intimidating.
Like he's got a good attack, but for 30 points, he's a lot. And it's already a very expensive faction. So I think he can run around on his own, but I don't know that I would take him. So,
well, he's got a special action, place the target engaged in combat with you, and then attack, and we consider you've charged. Your target receives frightened. If it already has it, it gets a stress. So you have a charge that isn't a charge, which is very interesting because it lets you go over walls, intervening terrain, getting slowed down by terrain.
But it's the same power as the Anointed. So if you put him in Anointed, he gets it anyways.
He gets it anyway, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the Maw of Uruk, you gain the additional properties when you suffer any damage. If you take 1 damage, you get a yellow on your attack and defense rolls. 2 damage, you can re-roll up to 2 dice from your attack and defense rolls. So he's one of those guys that he berserks out, and the more damage he gets, the cooler he is.
Which is rough with 3 wounds. So.
Yeah. And then your last character is a Breath. So this is another support character. It is kind of a caster, I guess. Well, it's not even a support character, it's just a caster. But it's like a very cheap caster. 15 points for a caster is maybe the cheapest caster I've seen. Yeah. You've got Tinge built in, 2 dice to spell built in, and then your triggers are you can place yourself, or you can place a fog marker when you're attacking or defending, and then just place yourself on a hollow. Your only spell is Red Lantern. Target enemy within 10. Resolve a ranged attack against the target. You can activate switches from your roll. So you normally have a ranged attack. You just do your standard ranged attack. So it's orange, orange, yellow, yellow. And then for Tinge, you can substitute your hollows for hits. And for a single Tinge, you can remove a state from each allied unit within 10. So you generate Tinge every turn, which is amazing. You can use your switches
which
to
is
make
good
Tinge.
because all her effects are
Based on Tinge.
That's a change they've made with the set that I like, and I hope they do it. So they just gave her a ranged attack, so you don't have to worry about
it's not a spell.
The little fire spell like the Frostfire Herald is just done. It's baked in.
It's baked in, yeah.
You're throwing fire. So
and you can do it without casting spells. So you don't have to use Tinge or roll spell casting to use a ranged attack now. It also means you can make a ranged attack and cast a spell in the same turn.
That's right.
Twice. Because one separate.
No, it's a good move. So.
She can make people receive Tinge around her, and then she can also have all units within 4 strides of a fog marker get a Tinge. So you can make Tinge go onto the enemy units as well.
Yeah, but she's a double hitter too, right?
Yeah.
So she just do an attack, and then
For
she can
15
cast Red
points.
Lantern.
Yeah,
She's
for
very
15
good.
Points, she's a double hitter. She's really good for her price, I think.
It's a bad thing being spellcaster. So she has to wander on her own, and
maybe get
the 10 strides is a little scary. So
it's pretty up close for what happens.
Yeah.
But you can surround her by these guys if you want. The Intact. These are your mainline fighting unit. 20 points for 4 models. Red, 3 orange. They have a real decent melee attack for what they are, and they can cause frightened on a hollow switch.
Yeah, I don't find it that impressive attack. But
I think it's an impressive attack because
combined with the blades thing.
I was going to say, it's a really impressive attack when you combine the fact that they can only be blocked by hollow shields.
Yeah.
So
well, you have to trigger that, right? So it's not.
Well, you have to trigger it. It's just an ability. It's an all-the-time ability.
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. They changed that. My apologies.
It's an all-the-time ability.
Yeah.
It doesn't even cost you anything.
It's a command point.
It's a command point, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a command point to do it. So you're just, whenever you're getting to get into a fight, you trigger that. Now, all of a sudden, your attacks are basically unblockable. Unless you have something that cancels dice. And then loyal to the end, if there's an allied high command character within 10 of you, you can reroll your attack and defense dice.
Yeah. It's a very solid core unit. So.
For 20 points, for sure. And then finally, our elite unit, the Anointed. If I was to stack these up against the Pioneers and the Skinwalkers, I think these guys are maybe the best. They're real good.
They are very good.
They're real good. They're a really defendy unit. 3 wounds each, 4 if you attach either the needle or the main character to them.
Yeah, the speed and the range hurt a little bit, but if you play them right, they're super powerful.
If you stress them and they've got decent morale, they can go up to 2 auto hits with a switch, and then red, yellow, yellow, green. All of your switches, you can spend 2 to cancel a shield, and then your defense dice, you can just automatically do damage and also spend your switches to do damage.
It's a unit you're going to see in almost all the lists for a very long time. So because they also protect everybody.
Well, and they've also got a taunt. Target enemy unit within 8 strides. Roll double orange. If you succeed, place the target in combat with you, and then you can attack, and then you are considered to have charged, which means you can attack twice in melee. So you can drag someone into you within 8 inches, hit them, and then hit them again immediately because they can do their action plus.
And it's a place that you can kind of get them in places where you wouldn't normally.
That's right, because you can pull them over units, you can pull them through terrain, whatever you want.
Just see the one guy, just pull it all out.
Yeah, these guys are fantastic. They've got bone armor. You can up to 2 strikes to fix a dice.
That I've got a lot of use out of.
Yeah, just taking stress to do it. And then Guardians of the Family, target allied officer within 7, and then declare a move action. These guys get free moves. Whenever they move, you can suffer a stress to then pull yourself along after them. You just place yourself adjacent. So no matter
It sounds
what the
great,
range is,
but I found that in practice, you're running at really high stress all the time. So it's
true.
Not,
Yeah. I just feel like it's a good one for the first turn to get a free move.
Yeah.
Because you can basically, these guys don't need to be in your activation turn for the first turn. You use the officer to drag them, you make your free move, and now you haven't activated them, and they've effectively gotten 2 moves out of the turn. Right?
No, it's good that way, but like the way Sions work right now, a lot of their high command and leaders are spellcasters.
Yep.
So they can't always get into units. So having these guys nearby makes them a lot more protected. So it's hard to leave them behind with some of those guys too.
That's right. Yeah. And that's our box. So Scions, I really like this box. I think they are probably a little more difficult to use than the Hegemony is because you have to know how spellcasting works, tinge. There's some more effects in play, so it's a little bit more complicated and a little less straightforward. But like really powerful, and they have some really cool fighting units that I think you'll use all the time.
I don't think they need much in the way of shenanigans. They're just it's all hammers. So you can run at people, and if you get there, you're usually going to win.
And there might be slightly less optimal units, but there's no dead unit in here that you don't want to have in your collection.
This was a good set of the not complicated stuff.
That's right.
So.
And then we got Feudum for our last of the 2-player box set models. And this is a new human faction. Think Bretonnians, if you're looking at Games Workshop terms. And they've got some really neat units. You've got your leader character, which is Verena of Outagard. This is your kind of like Joan of Arc character. And they're your high command. They're a noble priestess spellcaster. I think this is the first time a spellcaster is the high command model. Oh, I guess, sorry, the demon guy is too.
Yeah, some of the Sion, or not the Sion stuff is.
Yeah, but this is a human spellcaster as a leader. They've got priestly diadem. They don't have a range attack though, so they can't do that same thing where they shoot the range attack and then also use it as a spell.
Well, they're not super. I find that what I've read about them, there's not a lot of offense in their wizards. They're very buffy or debuffy.
Yeah. This one is resolve a range attack against the target value red, orange, yellow, but they need 2 shields to cancel every hit, which is pretty cool. For an additional black dice, if the target has the tinge keyword or a tinge or the keyword tinge, it has to reroll its dice when it gets shields, which is huge. And then you can up to 18 pace range, or then add damage to the attack. And if they suffer damage, take stress. So there's a lot of like boost to that attack. It's a very cool spell with a very cool range. The rest of her stuff is like either using command points for a ceremonious staff. When the target's about to suffer damage, roll your willpower. If you succeed, ignore half the damage rounding up.
That's going to be interesting. So
that one can be really cool if you get giant spikes of damage, right? So like, for instance, your ambushers and CNN come in, as you saw in the last battle report, if you're watching on GMG, and do a huge spike of like 6 damage. That's actually, the value of that is higher than like a war surgeon.
Oh, it's the
you're
reverse.
Reducing 3.
I
right?
want all my single instances of 1 damage. I don't want to hit for 5
You get through it with chip damage this time as opposed to doing it all at once. And then the Blessing of Celis is another spell, and it's duration 3, so 3 more turns after this from activations. All ally units within 12 add an extra shield to the defense when they're targeted by an attack.
Yeah.
And you can also up the duration or make it more... the units can displace the end of the activation.
Yeah, and then just allied units. Within
everybody.
12. Like it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So,
that's a lot of units. So she's neat. Again, she's not straight up powerful. She's more of a support piece. That spell can situationally be really, really good, and the diadem can also situationally be really, really good.
And she can only do 1 of those a turn too, so that evens it out a bit. So.
Hitting or blocking one or the other.
Yeah.
We've got our knight, our little knight of the sacred relic.
Yeah, he's brutal. So.
Well, why don't you talk about him?
Well, he's just everything you would think for a charging character like that. He hits super hard. He's got a big area effect thing. Let me just grab this here. So, yeah, like he's got good high dice and defense included in the attack. So, and then he can just use shields, which he has defense. So that's a big one there because a lot of people have attack in their defense, etc. He can actually switch to make it what he wants.
And make it a damage too if he wants to as well, yeah.
Yeah, and then he can actually give the disarm state to a bunch of people, and then he has the big hammer smash. Where is here?
Thy thunder be done.
Yeah. So you give them disarmed or vulnerable, and every unit within 3, like, gets shaken.
Take a damage.
Takes a wound.
Take a damage, yep.
So he
does a big meteor ground pound, exactly. And then he's also got
stress, so.
He's got remove 2 levels of stress for a command point. So he's another guy that you can just push around and have him keep fighting and fighting for command points. And he generates 2 himself, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like he's going to be easy, and they've already
Oh,
hinted.
Giants 1.
Yeah, and they've already hinted at that there's going to be this
No,
guy on a
sure.
horse. So
Yeah. You can add him to a unit to give his ability, like plus shield to the unit, and then also he can trade it for damage.
yeah,
And
they
the
get
unit's fearless.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
plus
really
morale,
are
fearless.
themed around taking on the Psiots. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got that's our second character, our like fighting character.
Morgana
We've got Morgana as our third character. She's sort of the second spellcaster. She's Morgana Le Fay. If you look at this like Arthurian knights, she's supposed to be like a Morgana Le Fay sort of like spellcaster. She's only 25 points, which is pretty cheap.
and they stay on that focus of debuffing, right? So
Yep.
you get the Gaze of the Sealess, and that's vulnerable and disarmed. And for turns, so it means it's not when you actually get hits and take it off, you're getting it right back on again the next time you activate. So it's, again, going to be brutal. So
That's a huge
right now, there's
debuff.
nothing you can do. So if they get the spell through, it's just done. You're getting that.
There's
for
no way to
turns.
shake the effect because it just stays.
Yeah.
They can't control objectives, and it's Conquest 0 as well if you boost it.
Yeah.
Which is bananas.
So again, like good butt debuffing. So not
And the idea
direct
being that
attack.
she's cursing them, right? She's cursing them to suck. You've got your command ability, Blessed Brooch.
Yep, just like the Scion have, they can start turning off your words.
That's it.
The big one is usually, I want to say Risen.
Or
Elite
Risen.
is a good one too.
Yeah.
But for Scion, it'll
For
be
Scions to
Risen.
be Risen, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that way you can't put them under cards and they can't recycle.
Yeah, so if you kill them during that time frame, they're just
They
gone.
stay dead. She banishes them.
But
Yeah,
there's
it's a huge
lots of
deal.
things you can do. Immovable on Bulwarks would be very useful that last game.
Yep.
So it's open to a lot, but it can be really effective. And then you've got the Devotion, which again is all allied units. So, or allied units within 10. So it's basically everybody standing around you and they can just repeat dice. So
Yep, when they're the target or target of a golem, spellcaster, or tinge enemy unit.
which
So
is
it's
all
scarier.
Scion stuff.
Yep. Yep.
So again, very targeting. So, and she can fight not awful compared to most
Nope.
wizards for sure.
Absolutely. She's a decent fighter, orange, yellow.
Yeah, and she actually can join the Gizarms guys. So
And she adds a strike, which for a wizard is crazy. First of all, it's a wizard that can join a unit, which doesn't usually happen. And she adds like a bunch of fighting stats to them, which I think is really interesting.
yeah, but she loses the spell in the command thing, which
She
is
does,
harsh.
yeah.
So,
But she keeps the scholarly devotion, so she keeps the reroll aura, which is
Yeah.
really cool. So she's fun to put into like a fighting unit, like we're about to talk about, which is your line unit, the Gizarms, the Guizarm.
these I think are, in my opinion, the best core unit.
You think so?
Just that what do you call it there? The
Bucklermen are pretty
grip
great.
to the ground thing.
So you've got it, but they do have so there's no special abilities on Bucklerman. These guys actually have those. Guizarm to the ground, when you're about to be pushed back, make a willpower test. If you succeed, you avoid being pushed back without suffering any stress.
Yeah.
So they're almost immovable.
Well, yeah, it's a very good immobile, especially for 20 points. And usually
Yeah.
your core units, that's the kind of things they're doing.
And their willpower is yellow. If you put someone inside them, then
Yeah, and if you get them
might
all
have it.
buffed up with the other guys, they're going to be really hard to shift.
Yep.
So,
red, yellow is a real decent attack roll too. 2 red
Yep.
dice can spike really high, and you can disarm with it.
so
on
you
top
can get
of
up to
that.
6 on that. So, and then the same thing. They're in the nobility adds conquest to them.
Yep.
So if these guys have like a knight in them, if I remember right, he can join them, for example, or any character.
Yep.
They're going to be conquest 4. So
It's pretty hard to move and pretty hard to get off an objective.
yeah, like that again. That's right up there with what is his name again? Drago's ability with
Drago's
the 2.
ability, yep.
Except it's just always there.
Yep, absolutely. And then we have our escorts, our mace escorts. What are they called? It's mace escort.
Yeah, but I would just
And
point out,
and the armory.
I would
sorry,
point
we
out
mentioned
too
the
on the
armory.
Gizarms before we move off that.
Yep.
They have the best triggers. When you attack, you cause disarmed.
Yep.
And they're designed to set somebody up to set people up to get killed.
Yeah.
And you want the mace escorts.
We have the armory of Boisenad, which is our other character. You said knight, human, character, ambusher, spellcaster.
Okay,
Because it was 3 characters.
got it.
Sorry, 4 characters because the armory is in there as well.
Yeah, that's the guy with the very cool armor. So
He has hands over his face
and his chest.
and his chest. He's kind of
Yeah.
like blind, but he's also a spellcaster. So he's a decent gun.
I think he actually is blind. So
And yet he's a gunfighter. So he shoots you with orange, yellow, and it can cancel your armor and displace.
but following that theme, he's a spellcaster that can join units. So
And he's also got the gun plus spell because he has Expeditus,
Yeah.
so he can do a spell to target someone with an 11, which is longer range than his gun, place yourself 11 engaged in combat and make a melee attack. So you can do the shoot someone, then jump into combat with them and make a melee attack, where they need 2 shields to cancel your attack. So he's almost like a gun kata, like charge in shooting.
Yeah, he's got a really good entry into it.
Yeah.
So getting stuck there is the trick, because he's got good rolls, but he's not that defensive. With the triggers and stuff, he's got some good potential. So
yeah. And then he has a universal ability. At the beginning of your activation, if you have any tinge, you must suffer a stress or a damage and place yourself within 10.
yeah.
So you have this weird thing called the voice, because like you're hearing like the voice from beyond. But you actually become more dangerous because you have a 10 pace place. Mm-hmm. And then you can still do your gun and then do a charge right afterwards. You're this weird blitz machine jumping around the table. But with Scorn and Resentment, you can receive at the beginning of your turn, you receive a tinge automatically.
Yeah. And because that gives you the better, where was it there?
It gives you the voice.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, if you have tinge, you can fix the dice. Yeah, that was what it was. So he's going to be an interesting balancing act.
So first turn you don't have any tinge, so you don't trigger the voice. Second turn you'll have one because you'll receive that tinge, right? Because the order of operations is the voice would trigger, then the Scorn and Resentment would trigger for a command point if you wanted to spend it.
It's a tinge every time you go.
For a command point.
Yeah.
But
no, it's just just a straight ability.
Yes, if you have the tinge. But Scorn and Resentment is receive a tinge for a command point.
Oh, fair enough.
Right. So you have to buy that one. And then at the end of your activation, you can fix 1 dice from your rolls. Yeah. So like you basically juice him up at the beginning of that round with the command point to give him the tinge, and then he starts running around and placing 10 inches and shooting and fighting in melee. But he also starts to like wear down because you're gaining stress or you're gaining damage and you might die. Really neat model. And then finally, it's the Mace Escort. This is your 2-man elite unit. And these guys are a lot like those Anointed. They're kind of...
they're such good models.
They're beautiful miniatures as well. You fight really well. Automatic strike with red, orange, and yellow. You can stress to give yourself a blue die and I think that's it. Yeah, just a blue die. Command ability, loyalty, and sacrifice. Once per round, target an enemy unit within 11 strides. At the end of the target's activation, charge the target. This is not considered an activation, thus you won't receive any stress.
Yep. No, it's fantastic. They're designed to protect.
It's an out of activation charge where you're just spending command points to have these guys run around and punch people.
Yeah. Your wizard's probably already dead, but you'll get to hit them back. So,
yep.
So, and then they get the bonus dice for being escorts.
That's right. So you have somebody go on your opponent's side, and then before your next activation, these guys will charge for a command point and go have a whole round of combat.
Yeah, the free move is nice.
It's a charge. It means it's an attack
but it means somebody's in trouble too. So
yeah. Well, no, it's just target an enemy within 11 strides. Doesn't mean anyone's in trouble. It just means someone did something within 11 strides of you. Yeah, right. And then you run off and do stuff. What I'm saying is, you're in a game with typically 3 rounds, 5 turns per round, so 15 turns.
Yeah.
You can spend a command point effectively for a turn.
Yeah.
For a turn. Right, because it's a move plus an attack.
No,
so
good, yeah.
Later on in the game, that's a huge ability.
No,
the only problem is it's only once per round. Yeah. And the escort, of course, is all allied characters within 5 strides, adding to their shields to defense rolls.
Yeah, which is similar to the Anointed now. It's kind of becoming the bodyguard thing. So.
Yeah, and these guys are 165, so again, balanced against the first 2 star sets completely. And if you're going to be playing against the Scions, I think they're 160, so roughly the same thing there as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the last one, the weird one. If you're going to do the action pack for the Seanan, you're only going to have 140 points. You really do need to get that captain to take you to that 170.
Yeah, they're a little light.
They're a little bit light. Who's your leader in this one?
The one in this is not really a leader. I guess the Birdman counts as he's your most characterful guy. So you've got supports, things like that. But the Birdman, I'd say leader is strong.
You're effectively short a character in this one. Like if the previous ones are 7 units, so. if the previous ones were 7 units, this one's only 6, and the 7th one was like a special, the guard captain. So you got to find a way to either buy it.
It's a little weird of a setup. Yeah,
it is a weird of a setup. I think they hadn't quite figured out what they were doing yet with these action packs.
Well, you can play with an officer as your leader. You don't have to take a high command. So, but that just makes you even shorter on points. So
yeah, but if you do have him, so there's the what's his name? The Special Grand Captain.
Yeah.
Is the
beautiful model,
the character, and he's a beautiful model,
and I actually like him in the game. But if you're not getting him with the pre-order stuff, then you're buying, right? And at that point, Lolislath is also available, and I horribly pronounced that. But the other female commander, who also, actually, I would say with just the starter stuff, plays into it better.
Right.
Because she really enhances.
So let's say it with
plays.
Lolislath then, because that's the one that's available to buy separately. You're going to want to buy the action pack plus that, or if you've already pre-ordered it, the guard captain. So what's Lolislath got going on? Because they are high command, and that gives you a high commander.
No, she is just an excellent combatant. She's got a little bit of defense and offense.
She's got a melee attack, red, yellow, yellow, blue with an auto strike, and for 3 switches you can cancel a shield. No gun. She has encircling defense. All allied units within 5 strides of a forest can ignore damage. I think everybody gets this ability.
Well, this is the unique thing with the elf. So each commander brings their own little thing to it. So the Grand Captain gives everybody preferred trained forests,
right?
Which means you ignore forest traits. So essentially what it means is that everybody in your army, as long as he's the captain, can just ignore woods.
Right.
They're not going to affect your movement. You can see right through them because LOS is a trait. So suddenly archers charging through trees, all that stuff becomes much more relevant. For her, what she does is she gives defense. So you can ignore a wound as long as you're within range of a character or a forest. It is trickier that way. So they basically have Nemorius units, which is mostly characters. They effectively count just like trees.
Right.
So you can use them as a central point for a lot of your powers on top of just trees.
Yeah, the idea is it's like a life spring. So like you're either next to the trees, which are a life spring, or these characters who are also life springs. And it's allowing them to heal, like basically ignore a single blood every turn. Or every activation, sorry.
Yeah, like there's nothing. She's a good all around because she can come back with the Scar of Nuada. She's excellent for decapitation.
That's what I was going to say.
So ignore our last game because that was completely different.
Yeah,
but usually it's good. So.
She just comes back, she reduces her stress level to 2, and she places 3.
Yeah.
Ignore all damage yet to be inflicted on you, then remove all damage and states from your profiles. You bamf away, basically. You turn it into Nightcrawler, you bamf away, and you come back.
As long as you have a turn right after that, that means you can get her out of there. So.
And then she does have an attached version where she adds strikes. She can stress for strikes, shields, and blue dice. You keep encircling defense if she's attached, and you get Captain of the Shadow You.
Yes, that's why people.
When you charge or assault, you get vulnerable on your opponent, which means you can use it right away, and you can reroll up to 2 dice in your attack rolls.
Yeah, so you can. That's why she works well with this set. Is you can throw her right into the shadows,
Yep.
and they all ambush, and they just make it even worse. So, because Shadow is probably one of the best like Alpha Strike type units in this game.
Yeah, you're horrifying.
So, yeah, like in our game,
I know they're horrifying.
If she'd been in the unit, that last guy wouldn't have survived.
Nope,
So.
absolutely. Your next unit up is the Aodos, which is your like spellcaster.
Yeah, he's got similar stuff to like we were talking about with the Feudum. So he's got an ability to cancel spells, and he can add stress when people charge. He's all right. He's just a support character. He's not popular. He's frequently, when you talk about things that start getting taken out in the new lists, he gets dropped pretty often. So it's not that he's bad, but he doesn't stand out. And Xenon, because they don't do Conquest as well.
Right.
They have to be much more of a toolbox. Everybody's got to be able to perform. And it just doesn't add much. So, like, you do the ballad, and you can give them estates and take away one of their things. Can be useful, but that's very situational. So there's only a few things where you want to get rid of that. And then you can, when you're charged to assault it, you can make them take willpower tests, or they gain stress or add extra hits.
Right.
But usually it's not enough to make a big difference, especially with Drago and how much hegemony tends to be floating around. It almost never does anything. So, or that's been my experience, but maybe there's not as much hegemony as I get in my local area.
Right.
So I just rather have the 20 points because elves are not cheap. So
they're not. Nope. Their units are relatively expensive compared to what they do in other factions for the same point value.
Yeah.
You do have an attached version of the Ados too, which is the music and healing herbs. You can remove stress and state tokens as an action from people, and then dance to my tune. When you're assaulted, charged, or shot at, the enemy has to make a willpower test, or it suffers stress when it does so.
Yeah. That's the same one. Like, so you get a little stress removal in your unit, but again, for 20 points, there's better things. So.
Your druid's your next caster. This is 25 points.
Yeah, right now he's essential. So,
okay, why is that?
Well, his big power, regardless of his spells, is that he gets to use Defenders of the Great Forest and force a tree onto the table, which is a big deal. So when you get all the terrain set up, I get to put one piece of woods of a particular size in. And the fact that I can put that in and I can put it where I need to means that gives me that advantage on the table. Because everything here triggers off Nemorius or trees. The more trees you can get on the table, the better. So just that alone makes him worth 25 points.
Yep.
He's got a very good buffing spell that you can put on a forest or a unit, and then people near it get bonus dice to attack. That goes out a lot. Not in our game because I got distracted, but in theory, I should have been doing that all the time.
Yep.
So you just keep that running as much as you can. And he does have an attack spell, but it's not spectacular, so I find I don't use it much.
Right.
So, other than that, he's a wizard. He dies if you look at him funny. And he doesn't do anything but dispel. So
just dispel things.
He's very throwaway. He's super support, but only in a limited way. Once you get the spell out, you're good for 4 turns. And then you're like, well, he gets to move at the end of the turn. That's all I ever do.
Yeah, gotcha.
So,
all right, well, then that is the second of our heroes. The third one is, just looking at the name here, Ynir. What was it they're called? This is your fly guy. This is the dude with the wings.
Ynira Dara
Line.
Yeah.
For 35 points. He's a melee attacker who can bamf back up into the sky. He does the thing where he pushes you after he attacks and then shoots back up in the air and can come back using a scout. He also scouts, which means he doesn't have to start in the table, and he can come on the side of the table later on if he wants.
And he's got a charge reach of 20, so effectively 22.
That's the furthest charge in the game, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. There's nothing that charges further. That's crazy. That's such a huge charge. So his melee is pretty decent. Red, orange, yellow, yellow. And he does have a trigger for canceling shields. So you can blitz through shield, but you're not going to get, it's not like a 1-to-1. So it's not that high of a cancellation, but it's still useful for getting through.
He's not awesome enough to fight units, but he can selectively assassinate, especially with his first ability.
Death from the skies.
Yeah, so if you're close enough, you can just use both actions to teleport onto a guy within 10, regardless of line of sight.
If someone's hugging the corners, basically, show up on the side, place yourself in combat, fight again. You get the double attack, which is huge. And even if you don't, a double attack will usually stress them so much that they don't get to activate afterwards.
Yeah. Now, you can use him for hit and run, because he's got the other ability there, the resin carbonite. So it takes the wound down, and if you combine that with Lolaslop, you can knock off almost 2 wounds every time you get hit.
Right.
But more importantly, you can do a willpower test and do an automatic to the skies.
Yeah, and just take off.
Yeah, so you can get your charge and then bail out. So,
and then we've got our 2 units. We have the Shadows of the U and the Protectors. So Protectors are our base core unit. This is like a bow and arrow unit, a shooting unit. Let's talk about them.
They're fantastic. I really like them. So as far as when we talk about what core does for its value, they shoot, but right now it's the only unit that I'm aware of that they actually cause a stress if they get a wound through.
Automatically, yep.
So I actually can't wait till they're out and I can get a separate unit, because 2 of those peppering things is good.
And pinning people down, yeah.
Yeah, I use them all the time to put people at max stress to make them waste a turn. Super simple, especially if you put a Xenon captain into it.
And they can move, shoot, and move again, because if they're within 5 of a forest or a character with Nemeris, they can displace 4, which is huge.
So you can usually move, shoot, and then displace.
Get in range, get out of range, get in range, get out of range. Make sure you can't be charged back.
And then the best evil with them too is if you use the Grand Captain, forest don't block line of sight. So I don't even have to be in it. I can sit on the other side and shoot 18 at you.
You can't see me at all.
Yeah.
They do have a cancellation it's actually red 3 orange for their shooting attack. That's a huge shooting attack. And 2 triggers or 2 switches will get rid of a shield.
Yeah.
So you can cancel shields as
They'll
well.
struggle against good defensive units, which is why the captain is popular in them, but again, separate. So the dice is it's not got a very 5 is not a very high ceiling, and you're usually going to get much lower on average. So,
and we got our Shadows of the U. These guys are horrifying. This is your ambushers.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So your leader of your army is an ambusher if you're taking what's her name, and then also these guys are ambushers. They just don't start at the table. They show up outside of 12 strides, but they both charge 11 strides,
and they can see through woods.
And they can see through woods. So you just run.
The 12 isn't even a thing really, because I show up on the other side of the woods and I can see you. You can't see me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but they have so much stuff that triggers. They're camouflaged, so if you're further than 7 away, you got to make willpower tests re-rolling the success to even be able to target them with any action. And then you have to redirect, like in our game. Like then you're just like, well, that was the only thing I could do. So now I'm just walking. And then they have the ridiculous silent and precise, which is exactly what you would want. They're brutal, popping out of the woods. So they basically, what is it here? I'll read the thing. You can't activate your switches, can't hold and shoot, can't apply any of your skills that apply. Like,
so my War Surgeon can't use his damage shrug. I can't.
It's things that apply when you charge. So any like units that cause disarm and stuff, none of that works. So and then after that, what's left, right? Like, so you've got a ridiculous pile of dice. Red, orange, yellow is really good high ceiling.
And also you have a baked in, if you want to spend a stress, hollow, and your
which is a free wound.
It's a free wound. It just inflict damage. Yep.
And you get the exclamation mark, so you can cancel shields. So
and I guess the War Surgeon would work against them because it's not a charge trigger. It's a when I take damage trigger. So there are some things it won't get around, but for the most part, not being able to use your switches is huge.
Yeah, and barring some extreme units, usually these guys are going to go and they're going to wipe something.
Yeah.
And if you decide to leave a wizard or a commander out in the open on the side, he's dead man. So
it does feel like these guys have the skill ceiling thing where if you are good at using them, they will never die and they'll kill something every round. If you overextend them, though, they might get caught out and get killed in the open. But if you're
once you actually get the ability to attack them, they don't hold up great.
Yeah,
so
exactly. But if you're just bamfing from one side to the other, a piece of train where I never have line of fire to you, it's the most annoying thing on earth where these guys just won't die. And also your hero is allowing them to ignore a point of damage every activation, so they're really hard to kill. And the defensive stats aren't bad. Green, black is no joke.
Yeah, they just don't have much to stop. Black. Auto wound switches are a death sentence for them. So it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know if I want to charge that because they can do that bad.
And their hollow shields cancel 2 strikes from
and
the
then
attacker.
They do ridiculously bad against orcs because I've had a variety of people just let me wipe the orcs and take all their shields and turn them to hits and wipe my unit out. So they can't really stop things like that. So they're all offense, but if you play them right, they shouldn't ever have to really play defense.
So that's it. So if you're trying to get into this, an action pack learning league would probably be my recommendation. Grab the action packs. They're all relatively balanced against each other. Even the they're like within 5 points. They're like all 165 to 170. Don't worry about the 5 points. Just play with the boxes against the boxes and you'll be fine. Yeah,
and except for the Xenon, none of those starter sets are anything where you have to worry about shenanigans. So
and you should have, if you do decide to buy the starter sets. So for instance, the way of doing this right now at the time of recording this is the stuff from Winds of the North will be available in 2 separate action packs in the next few weeks. The Song of the Dormant, you're going to want to buy that box set, split it with somebody, and then buy the split the Beyond box.
You'll get the Siggian if you can get the exclusive miniatures, and all the exclusive miniatures are great if you can find somebody that's still selling them.
That's right. So. If you can dig them out. And then last but not least, the sign-in are basically like, I'll pick your poison. If you can find the Grand Captain, grab it. If you can't, just get the character model. Because she's the one you want anyway with that amazing ability to ignore damage.
It's the popular choice, because it's very easy to use universally, where the line of sight can be.
And then either of these boxes will have a full token and dice set, measuring set, and terrain, which you do need to play the game. It is available for purchase separately.
But because they limit the dice, one set gets you all the dice you ever need.
That's exactly it. You only can maximum roll 3 of any one color dice. So there's no needing to buy like 5. But when you played Star Wars and you were like, I bought 10 sets of dice.
Well, sometimes it's just easier.
And then when they couldn't buy dice for the wild, it was so annoying because we were like trying to re-roll and trying to figure out which dice we had and hadn't re-rolled. It was a big deal. So the fact that there's a 3 dice of any color cap means that one box set basically gets you what you need.
Yeah, you're good to go.
They're easy to split. So last but not least, because the internet loves these things, we're going to do a ranking system. There's 5 action packs. I've already written down mine, but in your head quickly, what do you think 5 to 1? What do you think the worst to best action packs are? If we're going to
talking about playability or just how good they are?
Playability.
Well, Xenon's probably the worst, just that it's not a pick up and go. You have to be
interesting.
Sneaky. I think they play really good
against the other action.
Against the other action packs.
So if we're doing,
they're still short points, so they're still going to.
They're not short. I mean,
if you don't have the Grand Captain,
I'm saying, in order to even participate, you'd have to buy one of those.
Okay, well, if we're saying it's in there, then the worst one,
What's your worst
I
one?
think I might go Orcs. So
I did too. I went Tribes. I went Northern Alliance. Yeah, the Northern Tribes. I think Northern Tribes.
They don't have as much versatility as the other
They
ones,
also
so.
have the most profiles you would kick out. We said 3 things you would kick out probably after you bought some.
Oh yeah, I don't think skin changeables are very good at all.
Need some tweaking. Maybe.
Yeah, and I hate the Evoker. But
Yeah.
if you're talking future proofing, then it's supposed to work with
And
the
it won't
Stone
matter.
Troll. It won't matter. Okay.
We're just right.
Then I don't like the Invoker much either.
Yeah, so we're ranking these in only the context of against the other action
against each
packs.
other, I think, the
Tribes
Northern Tribes
is
are the
second. What do you
worst.
think the next one is?
I think because of the playability, easy playability, I would say Homogeny, but it's very close to the Scions, or Scions.
I think it's Science. I think Science is the next one down, because the Scions have the most needing to understand advanced core rules to play, right? So if I was playing them against other things, you need to be okay with tinge, spell casting, and like layering your units. They're not straightforward. And I think they have a higher skill requirement to play. So I put them at number 4. What do you think number 3? What's the middle of the pack?
Sorry, you're going for worst? Okay.
Worst
so,
best.
sorry, then I don't say Scions. I would have said that... no, I lied. It's Scions. Yeah. I'm thinking it through. So
My middle of the pack?
I don't have a good sense on Feudum yet. So,
That's why I put them in the middle of the pack. They also have the biggest blend. They don't have as much offensive. Again, there's player skill involved because most of their magical abilities are debuffs. So you have to know what your opponent's stuff does to really get your most out of them. And when you're doing like a learning league and you're just playing boxes,
I'm gonna say Feudum is the 3.
the middle. I'm putting Feudum as 3 as well. Yeah. What's number 2?
No, actually, sorry, I'm gonna say Homogeny's 3. So
Hegemony's 3.
Hegemony.
In the middle.
Oh,
Interesting.
I'm just gonna start saying Embersig because there's just no hope.
Embersig, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So then, what do you think?
Because they're just generic and easy, but they don't have any massive standouts.
Okay.
So I think Feudum, or no, second up, I'm gonna say
Sign-in?
what did I miss? Cyanin, yeah.
I put Sign-in a second as well.
Yeah.
I think Sign-in's incredibly powerful, basically because you're going to be using the 2 ambushing units. Like those 2 ambushing units have so much power the smaller the game gets because you really take out units quickly.
Yeah.
It would be really hard to come back in. Like I honestly think
It's hit
they're
and
the
miss.
most likely to cause a negative play experience if we're just doing action packs against action packs. So if you were the one organizing this league and you had to pick one of these armies, I would actually pick the Cyanin, I think. 1, because it's the hardest to build as an action pack and play with. You have to do some extra fancy footwork.
Yeah.
And 2, because the person who knows the most about this game should probably be the one pulling their punches and using that ability as a learning experience, not as a punitive experience, and explaining how it works. Because it's the least feel good is to have something appear from nowhere, kill one of your units completely, and make you feel like you can't come back.
If somebody knows how to play them, they're very powerful. So,
super powerful, yeah.
But there's no forgiveness.
That's why I put him as number 2. That's why I put him at number 2. And you're going to put Feudum at number 1.
I think I am. Like no experience, but I read them. They've got the defense built in. They've got the offense built in.
They also maybe have the best line
I'm
unit.
not reading what their weakness is yet. So
Their line unit is really good.
I'll get mine. I'll get them built,
really
and we'll see how I wreck them.
I'm putting them. I'm putting the middle. Of the
I can
road.
find the weakness in anything.
That's true. You can
usually
That's true,
by
you
trying
can.
to use it. So
they're really powerful. I just think that because their magic ability lies in making your opponent's stuff worse, as opposed to doing just like direct damage or making your guys better. It's a blue deck versus a red deck in Magic.
Yeah,
I think there's a more player skill involved. You have to know what your opponent's stuff does a little bit better to get the most out of them. That's
no. And if I get them against the Scions, I have a little bit of advantage there. So
yeah, whereas the Scions are very
weird.
straightforward. It's like I shoot real good. I appear from nowhere and kill you. I fly in the sky and kill you.
Oh, and that's probably one of the tricks because the company says this about it. Like they are very much focusing on narrative.
Yeah.
So you're going to find things like Feudum are going to play really hard in the Scions.
The Scions, yeah. It'll be a rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, you're going to be down a bit when you start against them. So
yeah, there'll be some rock, paper, scissors units. Well, I put Hegemony at the number 1 versus the other boxes in here, purely based on the idea that player skill being nominal between players, they're the easiest to use, the most straightforward, and therefore the most forgiving. Their units are really affordable for what they do. Their stats are really good. They have a great high commander who like buffs everything around him. And they had the second least dead profiles. I think it was just the Frostfire Mage as the thing that gets cut. But I think the Frostfire Mage is fine in context of like
there's not, you don't see a lot of the I never get the name right. Not the engineers, the dwarves.
The Pioneers. That's right.
Pioneers. Yeah, you don't
get
see
cut
them
later
very
on.
much either.
But as a support unit to just what's in that box against these other units, I think they're great.
No, see, I think they don't mesh well. As
shot.
just a starter set, I don't think they mesh as well. They're all good generics, but I think a lot of their strength comes from the units that are already out.
I like the
Like
flexibility.
aggressors,
Fighting
bulwarks. Like bulwarks are so key for them, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Later on, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get to Heroes to Zeros, which will be the follow-up. And we're going to do them in order of release. So we're going to start with Hegemony and Northern Alliance. We're going to go to Scion and next because they're in the middle, and then we'll do Scions and Hegemony last.
Okay.
We'll see you for that one in a week or two. So big thanks for watching and listening, because this is a podcast. I have to remember that. This will be on YouTube and also on the podcast stream for GMG. If you are a GMG patron, it'll be on the live podcast stream everywhere else. Because I'll start a new channel for this, I guess. We'll just start another podcast stream.
We can start putting them in my name.
Start another one. No, it's fine. I only have like 25 podcasts that I do, and this is what gig economying looks like in the Tabletop Game Awards.
Making me feel less special now. So.
That's it. And we'll keep recording these as we get through the 5 factions. So big thanks for listening. We'll start another format after we finish Heroes to Zeros. And thanks for Ben for doing this with me. Thanks to Ash.